So my earliest memory is before I had ever been physical, coming across a being who had been physical, a very powerful, beautiful being. And I was completely overwhelmed by the quality of his nature, by who he was. He was just so beautiful and full of joy and power, so much potential and amazingness. And I was amazed by the quality of his nature, his essence. And I asked him, and again, this is telepathic because there's something on the other side. Oh my goodness, how did you do this? Like, look at what you are. And he shared with me that he had been a physical, and he shared with me specifically one life that he had suffered with a very difficult physical ailment. I don't know what it was, but some kind of pain or long-term suffering. And the way that he met that experience was incredibly powerful. And he expanded in an incredible way because of this experience. And I asked him, were you healed all the way? Like, I saw how damaged he had been. And he shared with me yes, and I kind of sensed the depth of this this damage of being physical that he had experienced, and how he had healed all of it, and this amazing expansion that had taken place within him. And I said, I want to do that. I want to do that. I'm going to do that. And I was so I was fired up. I was totally committed. And he didn't quite brush me off, but it was a little bit of yeah, that's what they all say. And I was like, no, I'm serious. I want to do that. I'm going to do that. I want to go do that. I want to have that experience. I want to be physical. And he said, well, go talk to your guides. So I did. And that was.
All right. So you can see already that he has he's giving himself up to a group of entities that are guiding him and telling him, part of his path, so to say. So already we can see where this manipulation is going. So, he probably just recently had died in his previous body. And what ends up happening is really going to blow your mind. That just needed to be said. But we see the entities already working in the background here.
That was a long time ago, because since then I had many physical lives. And I went back and found him later and but had a converse with him and kind of shared with him, okay, see, I'm on the path. I said I was going to do this, and here I'm doing this. Okay, so now I'm going to jump a bit, because there's a lot, but okay, so now I'm going to jump to a bit that's somewhat immediately preceding this life, where I had taken a long break. Okay, I had lived many experiences, and I took a long break. Okay, I just decided I was gone for a while. I was just not doing a physical thing for a while. I was taking a long break, and I remember this guide coming to me repeatedly, over and over, are you ready to go back yet? Are you ready to go back yet?
Are you ready to go back yet? Are you ready to go back yet? So he's basically chilling, waiting around, being harassed to come back to Earth. Okay, let's just call it what it is. There's no beating around the bush. This is what's going on. Make of it, you can have your own opinion on this, but mine are very strong, and he is basically being harassed until he incarnates and gets in a damn body.
Reminding me of my own intention and just trying to kind of nudge me back onto the path. And I put him off for a while, and eventually I said, okay, I'm ready to go back. And I remember reviewing with him the state of who I was, what I had done, what I had been, and all these this is really hard to describe. All this stuff's impossible to describe, but the qualities of what I had been and who I was. And the thing that I needed to work on was obvious. The thing, and I hate to put it that way, it's not really work on, but I could tell that I had it was just very obvious. If you look at a I don't know, a report or something, the one thing I really needed to work on was glaring. I was oh yeah, I really need to do that. And it involved a fear that I had experienced in one specific life. That in that life, the fear was so profound and so powerful that it drove me to be a very nasty person. I was a very non-helpful person. I damaged many other people. I mean, you can't say damage. You can't truly. The soul can't truly be damaged. We can't be damaged. But in the life, I had caused a lot of damage because of this fear, and ended up dying in a very painful, agonizing way. And so And so I was surprised at how incredibly deep that fear had been for me, how deep that fear that was in me. And so I wanted to re-engage that fear. And
you know, I think the fear aspect that he has going on here is it's what they do. They combine the fear with the love, and they feed and zone in on those so they can take advantage of him. That's the bottom line of how I'm looking at this.
Reviewed this, I knew oh my gosh, the incredible amount of expansion that would be possible if I could do this, if I could meet this fear and integrate this certain energy to this degree. I just knew it would be unspeakably beautiful and powerful if I could do that. But it was, but even then I could see that the vibrational distance was so extreme that I remember asking the guy, is it even possible? Like, has any other being in creation ever done this? Has any other being ever done something this extreme in this kind of way? And he said yes. And there's like this encouraging, like, and you have all time to do so. There's no hurry. So
there's no hurry as long as you get into a body. That's the goal of these things, these entities. As long you can hang around all you want in their astral world, but as long as you're getting back in a body, they're fine with it.
So I knew, and this sounds kind of, as a human, this sounds kind of alien to me, but at the time, I just knew with complete confidence that if it can be done, I will do it. If it can be done, I will do it. I knew that I had that ability. So with that being said, they brought me a life that was really perfect for this intention of mine. And so I reviewed this life, and it was perfect. It was like almost as good as they get. And I accepted the life, and I accepted the veil. Okay, so the veil of forgetfulness, this process of incarnating, is what I remember the most out of all of this. And that process is very abrupt.
The veil of forgetfulness. If you guys could let me know in the chat if you hear the lawnmower in the background. I do have a cover on the mic, but I hope you guys don't hear the lawnmower. Anyways, yeah, I mean, the veil of forgetfulness. When we come here, we lose virtually all of our previous memories of our incarnation and our essence of who we are. Okay? And you're going to be blown away where this all goes. But he's openly talking about it.
Shocking. So in this life, I accepted the veil. The veil came over me, and then I was in the womb. But, okay, so when the veil came over me, I felt my knowing be cut off. I felt my vibration plummet from great heights down to the lower and lower, and go lower still, and then lower still more, and keep going lower and lower, and then you finally get there. And when you're there, it's so low, it's ridiculous, and you're cut off. I mean, at least for me, I felt cut off, and I felt like I didn't have that connectedness with other people anymore, other beings anymore. I didn't have my knowing anymore, and it was terrifying. And I wasn't even born yet. I was just in the womb, and I was terrified. And I was only there for a very, very short time, and I said, you know what? I'm not doing this. This is not happening. I mean, this is so ridiculous. This is so low vibration. This is so dark. I am not doing this. And I summoned my might, and I smote the veil. I fought my way out, and I succeeded in doing that. And so I was on the other side again, but I had killed the fetus. I had killed the body that was to be mine, and thinking about it now, even I feel responsible for that. I feel sadness, because when I got to the other side, I had a life review. Even for that very short life, I had a life review, and I remember seeing the mother and all the hundreds of other people that would be negatively impacted. Well, I could feel how I negatively impacted the mother. I heaped more difficulty on her through the sorrow of her loss. And
all right, so you hearing this? This guy is in the womb, wants to bail, and he ends up with a freaking life review, and it's all guilt. It's all, oh, you negatively impacted this one and that one and blah, blah, blah. Think about that. So, I mean, there's even a life review if you decide to bounce in the womb. And it's all guilt tripping. All guilt tripping. This poor guy. I'm telling you, just keep listening.
Also, hundreds of other people then that with their lives would be made more difficult because I had made the mother's life more difficult. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, it's really hard to describe, but I went in with great intentions. Like I had all these good intentions. I had this big plan, and then and then my fear was so great that right at the beginning, I caused that. And not only did I not succeed in my intention, but I caused the game to be more difficult for the players that I so loved in this way. Is how I'm using metaphors now. So I was disappointed. I mean, I knew everything was okay. Everything's on the other side. Everything is well. It's okay. But I was disappointed that I had let that happen. So I decided to, before I attempted this again, because I knew I would want to try again. Before I did that, I practiced accepting the veil because I didn't want to have that. I didn't want to do that same thing again. So I remember going to this place that can only be described as like, I don't know, a veil acceptance simulator room.
Okay, so, I mean, he says it right there. The veil acceptance simulator room. So he's requesting and being aided to have a veil put over him so he has, very little recollection of his previous existence, so he can charge and make it on through his next incarnation in a body. It's nuts.
There's like a place you go where you practice surrendering to the veil and having your knowing cut off and feeling separate and dark and alone.
Can you believe it? They actually have this thing set up for people who really don't want to come back here, but we have this room you can go to, and don't worry, we're going to try and help you as best we can to sever that connection. And just think about how powerful it is. Our spirit is. Think about how powerful it is, because they have to really put in a lot of effort to keep this one guy coming back. And he's no exception. We're all here, right? I mean, let's not be stupid. Probably many of us have been through this. Maybe not to the exact same degree, but something's up. Okay, let's continue.
Kind of like diving into a pool and then seeing how long you can stay underwater, but because this is just a trainer, you can jump back out if you get too scared, but you practice. And I remember practicing, and basically it had to do with my willingness to feel the fear, my willingness to allow and not resist. So after doing that, they brought me this life, and this life was not as optimal as the first one would have been. It was still good. It was quite good, but each life is only so good because the soul, the spirit, is rather complex in what makes it up. And in my case, I just knew I had many qualities, and there's like a certain type of my nature, and that nature has to interface with the life somehow, and then that has to work within the context of what you're trying to do, what you want to do. And this life was pretty good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. It was good. So I remember reviewing this life in great detail, and reviewing what I can only describe as a vast flow chart, or like a tree of all the things that might or could or would happen in this life. And it started like kind of like, imagine a tree like on its side, like thicker trunk, and then like it went out in branches, and there's all these